Welcome back everyone to a Sekai Taikai Cobra Kai Season 6 Part 2 WatchParty. The trailer has dropped in the world's biggest tournament is Center Stage. While sometimes with past trailers we had to deduce the major plot twists and storylines of the season, that isn't the case here. I will provide the Season 6 Part 2 plot in a nutshell. It's the world's biggest tournament, the Sekai Taikai. Miyagi-Do does not start out well. They get thrown off balance. They lose fights. They get their asses handed to them again and again. But then they buckle down, regroup. They train harder than ever. They train like Rocky. They spend half a day traveling around to several different locales in Barcelona to train. That fires him up and puts him on target to win the whole thing. Meanwhile, Cobra Kai is fighting hard. Tori has some initial difficulty overcoming Zara. She is the team captain of the Iron Dragons and a new character, which has attracted a lot of eyeballs for some reason. She means business and not taking anything laying down. Perhaps she will be the one to beat Sam and Tori. We'll have to see. Meanwhile, Quan is flirting with Tori to throw Robbie off balance. This is why he is losing and getting knocked around. So while Quan is ready to take it all, Tori is still having doubts. She looks off in many scenes. She's not much better than the end of part 1 when her mom died. She's on the verge of tears or has been crying. Nope, doesn't look good here. Everyone is focusing on her. Is she letting her dojo down? I'm not really sure. I do think a pep talk from Kreese may get her in line, but seeing Robbie and Sam will throw her off again. She needs to kill all heart, as per Kreese's teachings. This is not an easy recovery for Tori. The most we can say is she's not super into Quan, so I don't think there's any real romance or relationship here. It's solely to get under Robbie's skin. Unfortunately, Robbie is someone whose love and feelings are easy to spill all over. I'm perhaps most interested in this shot, Tori alone at the hotel. She's sitting on her bag. Is this when they first arrive? I mean, you would think they would check into the hotel and then go to the event. It could also be before they leave, but that seems less likely. Where is everyone else is a good question. With the suitcase, the closest I would guess is this is immediately after the opening ceremony, and she feels bad about having betrayed Robbie and the others. Another option is she feels like she let Cobra Kai down by losing to Zara. Either way, I think Tori is having a very rocky time. She's not over losing her mother, and the pressure of the tournament is only turning it all up. But ultimately, she will get somewhat back on track. In a fight with Robbie, she knocks him down and scores. He's off balance, and she's there to win. The Queen Cobra will not let Cobra Kai down. Meanwhile, Robbie takes some beatings from Axel too. This is not an easy tournament. This is what pisses off Miguel. While he was okay with Robbie being team captain, he will not be okay with Robbie dropping the ball again and again. Clearly, Robbie is partially why they're falling behind so early. As I said, Miyagi-Do may get a few nice hits in early. For example, we can see Sam scoring a point on Spain's female captain. However, it's not gonna last. They're getting knocked down and knocked back. It prompts Dimitri to resort to his loser self and proclaim they should just try not to lose brain cells. Seriously, this speech makes me want to go back to this. He deserves it. You enter the karate temple to win. Apparently Yasmin's pep talk wore off. He's back to being a loser. Let's just hope he doesn't go back to saying stuff like this.
There's that winning attitude that pushed her away in the first place.
Da-Eun may have cheated to get invited to the girls, but seriously, Dimitri is the one who threatens their success the most. Will Dimitri have a moment to shine? That is questionable. Certainly Miyagi-Do buckling down and coming back will be very important. Now at some point Kenny will show up. He's here in the circle during the Robbie-Tori match. Now Hayden did hint you can have a substitute and that appears to be Kenny's role. I think you can sub out one person during the tournament for whatever reason. You just can't sub out people in the middle of a match. Like maybe fighters switch in and out, but you can't change your roster. The lineup is what you got. Based on this fight, I suspect Hawk is down here off screen and Da-Eun is the one who was subbed out. Perhaps she lost some bad rounds early on and they moved to replace her. She wasn't up to par anyway. We do see Kenny in action with Dimitri near the end, so we know he is fighting for the dojo. Will Da-Eun admit the truth and give a supercharged Kenny motivation to prove himself? We'll have to see. She may be too proud to. Now obviously a major turning point, perhaps episode 3 or 4, is when Miyagi-Do buckles down and does some final training. We see what will be an epic training montage as they are in multiple different locations. You do have to wonder if the whole dojo is behind, why aren't all of them training? It's just Robbie, Tori, and Miguel. In fact, in the images we have, Miguel is always standing off to the side. Maybe this is for the final fights with the team captains. But then why is Miguel there at all? Can you have one substitute for the captain's fight and they're going with Miguel? Either way, it may be intercut with scenes of Cobra Kai training. It's the classic Rocky-style training montage. But the biggest draw for part 2 will be the Sekai Kai itself. For over 2 years now, we have been clueless how it's actually run. We can at least make some reasonable inferences based on the trailer. There appear to be different styles of group fights and individual combat. I tend to think the fights we see with all the students around the mat could be several rounds of one-on-one fights. It's sort of like the Goshu training Daniel did back in season 2. They're in a circle and positions are called for each dojo, and the fighters in those positions have to fight. That's why you can get a guy fighting a girl, team captains fighting non-captains, or any other combination. However, since Kenny is there in that fight, it's likely one of the middle rounds. Perhaps the earlier rounds are simpler matchups, 1 versus 1 or the like. There's a shot of Sam and Tori facing each other, but that isn't an individual fight. It's a battle royale or royal rumble of sorts. There are other fights going on in the background, and some fighters are walking around the arena. It seems like poor strategy to leave yourself open by focusing on one person, but I guess that's more dramatic. There are likely some 2-on-2 fights as well, but I'm not sure how those fighters are selected. The most exciting is the elimination round of the Iron Dragons against the West End Warriors. They're fighting on an elevated stage. The goal is to knock the other 2 fighters out of bounds and thus off the mat. Honestly, it looks kinda badass and is already my favorite competition. My complaint is the mat does seem rather small. While that makes it more difficult, I feel like they don't have enough room to maneuver up there. Either way, Iron Dragons, the dojo from Hong Kong, wins this match. Will Miyagi-Do fight up there as well? We'll have to see. Speaking of the Iron Dragons, the dojo with Zara and Axel, their sensei, is called Sensei Wolf. He mocks Johnny a little bit and says they don't know what it takes to win. Johnny, being Johnny, doesn't take that shit and throws a little back at him. There's one key scene where Sam spies Wolf hitting his student Axel. They appear to be training as Wolf has a glove on. Maybe this is supposed to show that Sensei Wolf is ruthless and will even hit his own students. I think that's kinda dumb. You see, this isn't quite like,
Yeah, Sensei.
What the?
Oh, what?
Lesson 1.
or even this one. So in comparison, Sensei Wolf is kind of pathetic. You could say Sensei Wolf is a weakened, stripped down version of Johnny. He's basically the Diet Coke of Johnny. No one can out Johnny. There will always be at least one weapons event in the tournament. We can see Zara beating Sweden's captain handedly. This is also one of the events Robbie and Sam are training for in the montage. This is probably a later contest as the stakes get higher towards the end. Sam appears to get attacked at some point. She's kicking those Cobra Kais left and right. Now I believe this is Axel she is with. Sam is in the same outfit she had on the spy video of her flirting with a topless Axel on the beach. I would suspect this is the same night and the attack happens after they left the beach to go back to Sam's hotel room. Now does Axel help her fight off the attackers? He doesn't appear to be doing anything in this clip, but he certainly could help. Or perhaps he was helping lay a trap for Sam. You can never really be sure. This attack could be why Daniel goes after Kreese. He's pissed. Could also put Miyagi-Do in a precarious position if their female captain is off the board. The whole tournament hangs in the balance. The final storyline is the Miyagi box. Now the trailer does remind us that Daniel found Mr. Miyagi's old headband. It plays while Kreese is saying Daniel has a lot to lose. Now he could be talking about his kids, but maybe it's about his memory of Miyagi. But then what could happen that would harm that? I tend to think Daniel's side quest during the tournament is to find out if and how Mr. Miyagi competed in the Sekai Kai. he would start with Gunther and ask about past competitions, maybe the ones in the 1940s. I strongly suspect that would lead him to the Iron Dragons in Sensei Wolf. John said Sensei Wolf is very important to the story, and I think it's more about the information he brings about Miyagi, not that he's a top sensei. Now, if you notice something about the Iron Dragons is they're from Hong Kong or China, but many of their fighters clearly are not. A dojo can field students from anywhere in the world. Perhaps that tradition began long ago. Mr. Miyagi, a Japanese man from Okinawa who moved to America, became a citizen even fighting in World War II, was admitted to their Sekai Takai team long ago. Maybe they won that event and decided they would take the best students from anywhere. That is why they have Axel from Russia or wherever, and Zara's from Brazil and whatnot. In a way, their position on the Iron Dragons began with Miyagi, who fought for them in the late 1940s. Either way, I do believe Sensei Wolf will provide Daniel with information about this part of Miyagi's past. Now here's a question. Will part 2 give us a flashback to Miyagi fighting in the Sekai Takai? It would be a big reveal. Nothing in the trailer hints at that, so we'll have to see. The final important part of the trailer is how it ends. A cut to static. It shows this image. While it's difficult to decipher, I tend to suspect this person is Gunther. If the image is at the end of the tournament, that would make sense. At the watch party at the LaRusso house, you can see them looking worried, and Amanda actually pulls out her phone, presumably to call Daniel. Why Daniel would have his phone in his gi is another question, but whatever. There have been ideas floating that maybe the tournament ends in some big brawl or something like that, and that's what's happening. The TV feed cuts out for technical difficulties. I'll be back with more in-depth analysis and predictions. Make sure you're subscribed, you don't want to miss anything. Have a great day. I'll see you at the next watch party.